I guess it's worse if you guys get shot, yeah?
Oh, he absolutely was. StarZo's got it all to do now. 1v3 and already picked it down to a 1 versus 1 on the backside. Trying to bait him out into open combat, but time is so low. He has to plant, he has to stick it or go for the fight. All 4 kills for StarZo.
Don't get in my way.
Well, it's all up to Draken, and he knows the spike is down in heaven as well. 2 players have converged on that location. He'll take down Shados and Nats as well. He's still on 89 HP with 20. Snake fight. Try and kill 1 player coming in towards that. He'll find the kill onto Defo. It's just a 1v1 at this point. 6 bullets left in the chamber, and Draken, he only needs to find 1 more. He'll find the head of Redgar, and they clutch it up.
We move as a unit, okay?
Actually hitting those shots after timeout, and it looks to be working, but Zistu instantly shuts the back. 3 for Zistu. Can he find another one here? The 6 for Yetzi goes down. That's 4, and the 50 is for Zistu. And those were the top 5 players with Zistu on top, but there can only be one MVP of the week. Drumroll, please, gentlemen. You'll never guess who it is. It's CNET.
Oh, no way, really? I could have never thought that would be the case. Absolutely deserved. Man's a unit. What are you doing to say about it? He's probably the smartest and the best jet we could ask here in the EMEA region, period.
I think he single-handedly put a direction into how metagame of Jet will be evolving in this game. The definition of an aggressive pressure creating Jet, that's CNET. That's literally him.
Yeah. Incredible, and we'll get to see more of him in the future. I'm sure of that. But what are the 2 games that you can expect today? The story, the overarching one is you lose, you are out from now on. So here's the 2 games, the 2 best of 3 series that you need to focus on, and they're up on the schedule. Here they are. First is Team Liquid versus forZe, and secondly, it's Guild versus the Vodafone Giants. A lot to unpack in these 2, I'm sure, but how about we tease everybody through them? First of all, Team Liquid versus forZe. A bit of an underdog story here in this for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there are 2 stories here. One is like a slow redemption story for Liquid from being one of the best teams in the region to a little bit underwhelming now, and now trying to get back to a point where they're feared, right? Well, forZe, I feel like that's a team that exceeded every single expectation and are now in a position where they have the upper hand even if they are an underdog.
84 rounds to beat FPX, and they made it through forZe, so that is pretty impressive. They had some time to rest. Secondly, though, it's Guild versus Giants. Zest, fill us in. Well,
the thing is, right, forZe was pretty much running a marathon here, but the Giants had a bit of a different story throughout Challengers 2 of Stage 3, for example. This is the interesting thing, right? We're talking, and we have to recap a bit, Challengers 2 of Stage 3, that was where we saw Fnatic, Liquid, they go to EMEA. Nothing else. Nothing else. That should have happened. Vodafone Giants surprised us all. And they come in once more, obviously, with the stand-in of David P and Ambi, including the IGL stand-in, which makes it so interesting. And this is now a very slow approach versus a team that is so long established and could potentially finally get a slot for the international stage.
So that is what happened with these 2 teams over the past few days. We'll dig in them into detail once they're ready for the games themselves. But first, a piece of content that I really think you're going to enjoy. It's Frenzy Fire.
Best ability in the game is the Breach Days.
Breach abilities in general.
Brimstone Ultimate.
The Revive of Sage.
Probably the Jet Dash.
Dash.
Jet'in dash'i.
Jet dash'i diyebilirim.
Yeah, I'd say Jet Knives.
Jet's Blade Storm.
Because you can dash, you can jump up.
Killjoy ulti.
Bence Sky ultisi.
I think Sky Flashes are the best ability in the game.
Like, Sky Flash right now is too OP.
Sky Flash.
Sky Flash right now.
Flashka Sky. Flashka Sky.
It would be nice to have
Japanese character, looking like an anime girl. Oh, I'm kidding.
Smoker, aggressive smoker.
More of a duelist that can heal and maybe dash.
I don't know, probably something like really bright colors or something cool. Because all the agents right now are like pretty dark.
Having a Viking.
Some kind of Viking.
Мужичка-пирата, чтобы у него была способность призывать призрачный корабль. Вот это было бы классно. Ульта такая. Бомба.
A support character and it would have that energy barrier. I would add smoke days as well. Then the ultimate is you make a path through the wall for your team, you know, hole in the wall straight forward.
Human faces. I dislike Omen for being a ghost, KO for being a bot. I like humans, like Raze, like Jet, like Sage, like everyone else. And maybe some more black power, like Phoenix, like Astra. Yeah.
I think açıkçası Türk bir ajan gelmesini isterdim.
I don't know what to say.
Like a dwarf agent, like really small.
But I really don't know why he has so weird crosshairs, but definitely Shadow.
I think Link surprised everyone with his newest addition on the last qualifiers.
Link, I mean, just look at the qualifier. Ice crosshair, I don't know, it was so weird.
Right now it's Link.
Link.
Yeah, on this qualifiers, I would say Link, and overall it is Shadow.
Shadow.
I think Shadow and Link right now.
I mean, I only know that Shadow plays with troll crosshairs, so I have to go with Shadow.
Obviously Shadow. No chance.
%100 Shadow.
Shadow.
Of course, it's Shadow also my team.
Probably Shadow.
I mean, has to be our teammate Link.
Shadow.
Shadow.
Shadow from FPX. This guy, I don't know, man. I don't know how he even aims.
The dark horse of the EMEA Challenger playoffs.
I think now Dark Horse is Giants.
Supermassive Blaze.
Supermassive Blaze.
Если говорить про Турцию, это, наверное, Supermassive Blaze. И если из EU, Giants.
Giants.
Vodafone Giants.
Maybe Giants?
I think Giants are they made a Cinderella story.
It has to be Vodafone Giants, right?
Giants.
I feel like if they keep up the same momentum as they did in the Challengers 2, they're gonna be a good contester for the qualifying for Berlin for sure.
Fireflux or Supermassive Blaze?
Fireflux, yeah, right. Supermassive Blaze. We basically, I think these two teams can surprise a lot.
Supermassive Blaze.
Probably us.
The G2's new lineup are actually quite strong.
Gambit sürpriz bir şekilde şampiyon olabileceğini düşünüyorum.
I think Navi could shock the world here with a win against Liquid and Ascent.
Navi, because they're the new team, and I don't think they play that much together.
I put them in my pick'em that we're gonna beat them in the upper finals.
There are no weak teams, so anyone who reach this point is a good team.
Always good to know what goes on in the minds of professional players when they're not actively competing in-game, isn't it, gentlemen? There's some interesting thoughts here and there.
Look, someone mentioned that they wanted a Turkish character in the game, right? And I'm like, wait, isn't Jet already Turkish?
I mean, she's Korean.
Korean. Like,
yeah, that was a joke because everyone in oh my god, everyone in Turkey.
That's right.
That's the joke.
Okay.
He baited you right into it.
I would have fought better from a Viper main, but at the end of the day, he's sitting back and does the walls, nothing more. So bait me more, love.
There's one here. There should be green.
There you go. So everybody was talking about Giants as the dark horse, but I actually got to sit down with their coach earlier today, Pipsim, and really dig into his mind and see what is to be prepared for Giants through the tournament. So let's see what he had to say. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dobro jutro, Pipson. Thank you so much for joining us today here in the interview. We're with the coach of the Vodafone Giants. And I have a few questions for you. First of all, it seems like many people underestimated the Giants through this summer and into the playoffs here today. What do you think for you is the thing that makes your roster and your playstyle so difficult to play against for so many teams here in EMEA?
I don't know. I think the main hardest point is that we are pretty confident in the way we play, and that's why people have a lot of aggressive moves in my team, and that's what a lot of people don't expect from us. So I think that's one of the main reasons. But it's also about that we have a really deep thought play style, and we are kind of know what we are going to do on every single map. We know which what are we going to do against the style of the opponent, and we are always coming prepared. And there is always a plan B if something goes wrong. So the biggest thing for the players is that they always know what we are going to do and what is the plan around it.
Always with a plan. That is the Vodafone Giants. All right, but you've had some tough and close games versus Oxygen and Na'Vi. What did you feel that you learned the most in your game versus Na'Vi?
I do think that the biggest lesson was in the game of Oxygen, and it's not only because we lost it, but it's also about that we had a problem that day players didn't want to listen and to hear each other. Like, for example, we had a plan prepared, or we know what we are going to do. We know, for example, like on Ascent, if Oxygen has the Killjoy ultimate, they always execute 5 long. Every single time, there is no other option. 3 times Killjoy has ultimate and we play 0A, and we're losing the round. And it's like, we didn't want to hear what we were talking about before the game. We didn't want to listen each other inside the game and the stuff like that. And after that, we talked about it. We worked on that mistake. We had a talk about it, and we came to Navi like prepared. We knew what are they going to do, like how they're going to play split and the stuff like that. And we just stick to the plan, and it was working pretty fine.
All right, and of course, both games, they went to split Ascent and Breeze. Do you think that Breeze is a weakness for you, and how would you work on it if it is?
We didn't have that much time to work on every single map because, let's be honest, David P and Dambi joined like 1 week before the second qualifier starts. So, and then we had a lot of officials. So we really didn't had a time to properly work on every single map. We have plans, but some maps are way stronger than the other maps, and we understand it. But against Navi, we had to trick the ban veto, like the map veto, because that was our only chance to remove Haven and Dicebox at the same time. So we had to pick Breeze, even though we knew that our split is like a way better than Breeze, but we had to pick Breeze. So split will be the third map, because removing an Icebox and picking Breeze is the only chance that Haven is not in the pool. So we had to make this trick, and it worked. So we had to take this risk, and it worked. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, in the best of 3 series, you always kind of have to let go of one map in it, right? So Swedes at Guild, they proved themselves that they're so strong. They went up in the upper bracket in the playoffs, and now you get to face up against them. Finally, what weakness do you think you can exploit best against Guild to set you up for a next matchup in the playoffs?
I don't really think that there is a weakness we need to exploit. I do think that we need to play our game, because Guild is the team who is always changing up their playstyles, changing up their agents. Like they can play 5 maps in a row Ascent, and 5 maps you will see different comps and different ideas and the stuff like that. But they have some ideas, they have some plans which we can use in our favor. But of course, I will not talk about it right now. But we will see in the game. But it's going to be a really tough match for us, and I think it's exactly the same tough match for them. It's they are a really strong opponent, and we will try our best to beat them.
All right, we're Pipsum. Thank you so very much for joining us here on the interview. Let's see how the Giants face off against their opponents at Guild in-game.
Thank you.
You heard it from Pipson, and a bit of an idea of how the Giants really like to roll in their game. But that is the game to come up later versus Guild. Now our focus is on Team Liquid versus forZe. And Team Liquid, a lot of people are behind them, and there's a lot of expectation and pressure on their back. Can they make it through? But first, let's take a look at the team sheet, and I'll come back to you in a moment.
Hello everyone, my name is Elias Jamppi Olkkonen. I play for Team Liquid Valorant, and currently I'm a part-time IGL and entry flagger. Our biggest achievement, I would say, as a team was top 4 in Iceland, even though we were kind of disappointed of that. But if you just take the context where we were 2 months before the tournament, so I think it's still a okay achievement in my opinion. I think our team plays right now is really rounded, I would say. We have a lot of fast stuff, a lot of slow stuff, and I think it's a good mixture of whatever team we face. We can play whatever style needed, I would say. Our key factor is our mentality, I would say. We never give up in tough situations, so we can always come back in any situation.
So there you go. We got to speak to 2 coaches today and see what is on their mind. But this is Team Liquid, and like I said, a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on this team that already fell to 1 CIS team. Can they fare better today against forZe? Gentlemen, however, you have a chat about this. Lothar, Team Liquid, their chances today.
I feel like the chances are pretty good if they stick to what they know, because we're going to go in depth a lot in the later segment of this show. But in general, I feel like Liquid is trying to go back to the story that they had before when they started playing with Scream and Yumpy, and now they're going to go into an opponent that is very flexible, and it might be a little bit challenging, but I think they're going to make it.
All right, Sliggy, we sat down with him and had a chat about Liquid and what they have prepared, and maybe a bit of chaotic plays. So please take it away. Run away with this one. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here. And we have Sliggy from Team Liquid, the coach, to talk about some things, preparation for their game. Sliggy, hello. Welcome again to the show. It seemed like after your game against OHG, the entire team was more comfortable, more relaxed. Was there something that happened mentality-wise before and through that game to prep you for today?
So after the Na'Vi game, we had a lot of stuff that we had to look at. And then we had a day in between. We kind of just talked about all our problems, looked at the 2 maps that we lost. And then, pretty much just went over everything, worked out what we had to change. And then, just went into the Oxygen game kind of just knowing what our issues were and just focused on them. And we're super happy with the result.
All right, you talk about some changes, some adaptations. What about the KO? What's your verdict on it? What were you trying to accomplish with him? And what's the move from now on?
So we wanted to try it in the qualifier. We had a backup plan if it didn't work as well. It actually worked really well in practice. I think it's a really strong agent, but it needs. I think it needs like an IGL more playing it kind of like what 100 Thieves are doing, so that he can come up with a game plan and kind of work it out. Because it in theory on paper it works really well, but actually in game, if we're kind of not sticking to the original game plan, it kind of crumbles a bit. So. Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Fair enough. And you faced off against one CIS team already. You talked about Na'Vi and the game that you had against them. Preparation against the second one, do you think forZe would be more similar? What can you take away playstyle-wise from your game versus Na'Vi?
The CIS teams, they kind of differ a little bit. They're very aggressive, especially forZe are very aggressive. I've been watching a lot of their stuff. I'm super impressed with a lot of their maps, to be honest. They actually use the utility really well, and they're really good at making space. So it's something that I think we're better prepared for now than we were Na'Vi before. And we're feeling confident going in.
All right. So Team Liquid in the future, expectation is to make it through, right? What can stop you?
I guess the CIS teams, right? Because we've got to play forZe, and then if we beat forZe, then we've got to play Gambit. So I guess it's us against CIS at the moment.
All right, let's see how it goes. Thank you so very much for joining us here on the interview. Can't wait to see how the squad actually shapes up in game against yet another CIS team. It's forZe. Sliggy, thank you again, and good luck in the game.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, one CIS team, they've already gone up against Na'Vi, like I said before. How can Liquid do today against forZe? Sliggy mentioned aggressive plays. Can Liquid handle this? Let's talk about things in detail. Lothar, go ahead.
So, Liquid is a very interesting team right now, at least for me, because Liquid and Fnatic, for me, were the spearhead of EU when it comes to advancing the way people understand Valorant. We have seen many creative lineups from Liquid and Fnatic in the past, and it seems like both of those teams followed a similar story. They actually just failed when they tried to be too creative, right? So now Liquid is trying to go back to basics. This is why we will see Scream mostly on Reyna. We're gonna see Yumpy on Jett as well, because it feels like comfort picks are the most important ones for Liquid nowadays, which is a big thing because it limits the utility usage and overall strategy.
Right, and the thing that I, at this point, see is that when we still see this kind of aggressiveness we have recently mentioned of Liquid, right, aggressive play, so on and so on, I have still my kind of doubts and worries about Liquid in the sense when it comes down coordinating those, due to the matter of fact that surely Yumpy is your dedicated IGL, right? He is supposed to do and fulfill this role. At the same time, he's not like somebody who has been IGLing forever. He hasn't been IGLing in CS. He hasn't done it in the past. And this is where I'm worried when a team constantly swaps their IGL. It can be a problem. We saw it on their attacking side. Default seemed to be an issue. It seems like coordination is an issue. We're going to find out, because Giants are somewhat the opposite to me. forZe are somewhat the opposite to me, because they tend to have a proper structure and a slow default to go with.
You know what's even more funny is about the fact that when we see Scream and Yampi play such a free characters like Jet and Reyna, they are making decisions in game that don't really make a lot of sense if those decisions would have been made by any other character. But since they have the get out of jail for free card, because Scream always hits, right, and Yampi just dashes away, they can make those really aggressive, high risk, high reward plays when no one is expecting them to do that. And that was something that was lacking where we have seen Scream on KO, an example. He didn't have that escape mechanism, and he seems to be out of place where he was like very, let's say, confused of what his role in the team is.
All right, that is Team Liquid, but on the other side, it is forZe. Can forZe, it's the second CIS team that Liquid go up against, really defeat them here, break it. It's the underdogs. Maybe this is the story that we are looking for, but first, let's take a look at the team and their profile.
Всем привет, меня зовут Слава, играю под ником Артист, играю в команде forZe, потом идет Сагец, он самый стабильный, а потом forZe, вот, а потом мы там с Кофе, Хугион и я, Артист. В своей команде у меня роль саппорта, я отрабатываю тяжелые углы, это Сова, вот, иногда играю опорником, это Вайпер, вот, и засажу тоже. Мы заслуживаем выиграть EMEA Challengers, потому что мы очень трудолюбивые, у нас есть желание побеждать. Мы очень голодные, мы хотим выигрывать. Мы давно не выигрывали. Самое большое и единственное достижение – это First Strike.
forZe просто идут в супер наглый подпуш. Это победа!
Ключевым фактором наших побед является стрессоустойчивость. Мы достаточно спокойные ребята. У нас идет баланс. Наверное, в данный момент у нас 70% это какой-то пассивный плей и 30% это агрессивные выпады. Я бы описал свою команду в 3 словах. Это птица, вертолет, самолет. Потому что мы летаем.
And that is forZe and their introduction. Very stylish, I have to say. Not gonna lie, I really love the little earring touch on it. But Zest, forZe have the potential to upset. They're the underdogs coming into this. What do they have to do to beat Liquid?
Well, the question is if they will get to the dropout to get actually to the finals and get a slot, or if they will soar like a bird over this entire lower bracket. This is the kind of question we need to ask ourselves. forZe obviously coming in as a team, which I think everybody rated as one of the bottom 3 kind of units. Nobody really expected them to go that far. Nobody expected them to beat an FBX, even if they would be in the shakiest kind of stance. The only kind of worry I have when we go with forZe is that they somehow are a little bit similar to the Na'Vi style, where we saw Liquid falter, we saw them fall, where somehow mental fortitude was still existent. And that's an advantage from forZe as well. They were pretty much together for nearly a year. This is one of the longest standing units we have within this entire universe.
Yeah, and you know what? You mentioned a lot about the similarities with Na'Vi, right? But there's also one big difference between forZe and Na'Vi and Liquid, and that is flexibility. All of the players in this team have a wide array of agents they play. And you know what's funny? Zeddy is the one that has the least. He only plays Astra and Viper only. He's also the IGL. But then we have Artist playing on 3. We have, so we get Su on 4. We have Hugion on 5. And we have Coffee on 6. This is in the past 60 days. They're very flexible. There are 3 people on this team that are playing Viper. And there's interchange on all the maps because they play on Breeze, on Icebox and on Bind, on Haven as well. But in general, it feels like this team can take over the way they play and adjust to the playstyle of the opponents. So I feel like in this regard, they have an upper hand. But aim-wise, that's going to be the big question.
The key is strategy and how they use agent, but the map to their advantage as well. So expectation map-wise, things that could have Team Liquid falter with how forZe are playing flexibly, like you mentioned, Lothar. This could surprise Liquid.
Well, Liquid worst map is Ascent in my eyes, and that's the map that typically is being banned by forZe. So one would ask, doesn't make sense. Maybe forZe are prepared to play Ascend and they will bring something that is completely concealed from Liquid.
All right, let's see which maps we're going to be playing on then in the series. As always, 2 best of 3 series to go through today. This is our first one, and it's Bind, Breeze, and Haven. forZe selecting Bind, Liquid selecting Breeze, and of course Haven is our last map in the bans. Gentlemen, I see your reactions. go ahead. What tickles your fancy here?
I think the interesting part for me is that we usually see forZe either banning something, like Breeze, for example. They somehow are not getting along too much on that map for some reason. And now we see them ban Ascent, which, I mean, it's a basic, but still.
No, their plan is almost always to ban Ascent, but the thing is that from Liquid, we see the ban on Split, which they played a lot of times, and I understand that forZe is playing Split a lot of times as well, but might be the clash of styles right there. But it's really weird for me that Liquid actually went bind through because forZe is playing a very unusual lineup on it with Euro inside, right? And also we had the massive 24-22 match against FPX, right? Maybe because of that, maybe they have so much data on them that are going to counter-strat them, right?
It's going to be super interesting. I mean, this is the thing, right? We were expecting something totally different again, and once more we get surprised. This has been pretty much the storyline of the EMEA Challenger playoffs. Get surprised, get a Toynos, we see what's going to happen.
It's something that really is unexpected. Like you say, Bind is the first one here for forZe, and we're pretty much ready. I want to see what this team has to offer, because you talk about flexibility, you talk about Team Liquid having some open spots in their plays that could be exploited by forZe, should be surprising. But what are the agents for this one? Let's get in and see what we have on there, because, maybe KO is going to be on the line again for Liquid, right? They tried it before. It didn't really work. We talked to Sliggy about it, so I have some doubts, some questions here to answer.
Typically, Team Liquid is picking up Sage, Raze, Brim, Jett, and Cypher on this map. So they lack Sova. I mean, sorry, not typically. This is their latest lineup that they use, right? So they lack Sova on Bind, which is very interesting. They also play Raze, and I wanted to point out that if forZe again plays Yoru, he actually has a great counter to the hookah boom bot being played at the beginning, because you use just the footsteps through the teleport. But
there we go. Well, I have to say, as you mentioned, Jett, Raze, Sage. Okay, yeah, I mean, there we go. It's pretty much, if I see this correctly, no big surprise really. Sova, Viper, Yoru. Yeah, I mean, the force side of things is casual as usual, normal as usual, and Team Liquid still considering what they put Link on. I mean, most of the time it would be Brimstone they're considering. Maybe this is the interesting part, right? Maybe they're swapping up things at that point, getting him on an Omen, which would be still somewhat unusual if you ask me.
When it comes to the, let's say, power levels of two of those compositions, there are gaps in my eyes. Like, you're still not the strongest, duelist that you can have in your team. I would just prefer to have a Raze instead of him. But Coffee has great usage of flashes. We have seen that against FPX. The flashes were nuts. We're absolutely nailing the FPX team every single time, and with conjunction with an aggressive Viper that we have seen from forZe as well, it's a force to be reckoned with.
And the mind game.
The mind game? I mean, the thing is, they know how forZe uses their Yoru. They just must know. I mean, at this point in time, you had more than enough rounds to watch it. At the same time, what I love so much about that Yoru we see, it is always used in the heat of the moment. The gate crash comes in when everything is clashing on the site. And this is where somehow, maybe not everybody can pay attention to this little blue ball soaring on the site. And this is a good advantage. This is where you can get the flanks. This is where you can get the surprises. If it's going to pay off, we're going to figure out.
All right, I'm very excited. Guys, very quickly, who do you think will take this? Map one?
forZe.
I would say first one goes to forZe, and also keep an eye on the Viper operator player. It's very unusual.
That's Lothar.
That's Lothar for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are ready. That is enough for theory just for now. It's time to put everything in practice. It's Mitchman and Hypuck to take us through map one. It's Team Liquid and forZe. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Well, Hypuck, I mean, let's start by saying, you're not Tom. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I hope Lauren's not tuned in today to watch, because she's probably going to kill me. I don't know who's allowed this. This was obviously scraping the barrel in terms of choices for today, but here we are, right?
Don't do yourself dirty like that, Hypuck. You know what? Let's jump straight into the game. Let's talk a little bit about this, because I honestly feel like Liquid, seeing forZe going in for that ban and ascent, they might be wiping a little bit of sweat off their brow with how that map's been going for them recently.
Yeah, I think actually this veto is interesting. Obviously, Liquid's recent performances, at least on Ascent, have been a little underwhelming, right? A little disappointing in terms of not just the round scores themselves, but in terms of we actually break down those matches. And again, you'll love me for this one, but I think back to the Alliance loss, right? That was the one that I think actually kind of changed our perception slightly. So veto-wise, this is interesting, but Bind, there's a lot to break down for map one, Mitch.
Yeah, well, there most certainly will be, and there's going to be a lot more on our plate as we go on through this. We are going into bind, the pistol set to start, and forZe are on the defensive side. Let's see if this map can find the success that they want up against the giant in Europe that are Team Liquid, and the scary team that they can be when they make that lower bracket run. Going to start with a lot of aggression out of Liquid, a straight A push. And these players on forZe now have a lot of angles to consider. The smoke's blocking them out from a lot of the peaks they would have wanted to take. And this is great ground control right off the bat by Liquid. A kill and a spike plant, but a bit of HP loss for Cryptics.
Yes. Snake by a lot of damage. Actually maintaining Shower's control, but unfortunately punished for it. Eugen actually going to come through. Yampi will fall here. Upgrade to the Frenzy. Soulcast going to be really careful now outside lamps.
Oh, Artist got those right clicks. No, he doesn't. He goes down right away. Zeddy with the trade back. And we're in an even position, but it's Link that's going to be the difference maker, surely. Soulcast up close. Time starting to tick away. It's already halfway defused. Oh, that molly is going to stop anyone from going through the wall, and they're able to just defuse it. Oh my, what a travesty here for Team Liquid as forZe pick up the pistol, but basically 3 players still alive for Liquid. That should never have happened.
An absolute disaster. I'm not even sure who it was that backed up on short there, but Link coming through really late on that Showers lurk. Actually, Soulcast had to come back and play this side of the wall. I mean, forZe just, they wrapped. They literally swapped places with Liquid coming through lamps. What a strange pistol round to start things off, and initially everything going right for Liquid, right? I mean, obviously forZe are playing back. Coffee's trying to contest obviously that wall going up on default, and Scream actually able to do a lot of damage over the top of that. But I'm not sure really what the swing condition there was for Liquid to force them to sit back like that, Mitch.
Yeah, it was a little bit strange. At the same time, I can understand when you've got the Molotov, maybe they just really want to run down the clock, but that one missed piece of utility and you are in a world of hurt, because it's not just, oh, it's not stopping them from defusing anymore, but stopping you from stopping them from defusing, which is even worse. Well, after that disaster, I'm sure Team Liquid are looking to put that pistol round behind them. We've had a little bit of a tech timeout, and we're ready to jump back onto the server where we can see forZe are going to be playing this one with a Vandal on Hudgeon and everyone else taking Spectres. But Team Liquid have got a couple of upgraded pistols, so this might not be as clear cut as it might look on paper.
Let's see if they can get anything done here. Initially, a few members down towards Fountain. It's going to be Soulcast and Scream just to show a little bit of presence here. Spike not committed either way yet. They're down on short, so obviously going to wait out a pick here. 2 members of forZe actually stack inside Showers here to try and take control. See really if Link or Yampi decide to contest that. Soulcast spots one, but see Zeddy as well posted up to play, I guess, on the back of one of these flashes. She's going to swing round, and Soulcast unfortunately missing the beat a little bit there. If he'd have hung around, he might have actually been rewarded with a pick.
Yeah, so valuable in a round like this. You get that opportunity to just pop ahead. There's still going to be plenty more up for grabs.
The crosshair plays just bang on there.
Yeah, he's not pulling the trigger though. And look at this, a 2-man setup inside a bath. Recon going to do a little bit of work here, confirming there's players here. Snake bite down. That's going to delay even more time. I mean, Liquid are kind of forced to make a push pretty soon. It doesn't necessarily have to be A. Yampi falls and Spike is down, so they might not have much of a choice. Curious sending the Spike through Bath, and with that completely isolated, this is going to be a full rotate from forZe, and what should be a clear-cut round now. 1 pick for Soulcast. He's immediately shut down. Artist farming up that Hunter's Fury as we speak. 5 HP left, and oh, he'll go down in the end, but it's worthwhile. They've had a pretty solid round here.
Yeah, again, the Spike being lost in Showers with 30 seconds left, it's a borderline unrecoverable there, especially with the Astra utility as well. Obviously, this late round kind of utility that's still available for forZe after the Snake Bite, obviously after the Recon Bolt, after the Shock Darts, everything to slow down that push coming through. Not an awful lot for Liquid to do there. A couple of consolation kills at least. Soulcast actually finding one late on, but again, the double stack, just too strong for Liquid to break through now. Coming through onto the buy round, again, I'm not expecting forZe to go hyper aggro here, but potentially going to look for an early pick. Not even going to contest short, actually. But very, very deep poison orb here. Actually, they're going to 3-man walk them to Showers here. Look at this, the TP play, Mitch.
complete crunch. Scream is dealing with it well, but the numbers are just too great. Zeddy with a double pulls it into a pretty advantageous spot for forZe, considering what they started with. Now 2 Vandals to play with, the Spectre there as well. And although the plant will come in for Team Liquid, they're going to be a little bit stuck, especially with Link playing towards that B side. They know that he's rotated through the spawn. And they could be watching for that flank play a little bit later. I mean, now it's going to be about running that clock down for Liquid, trying to buy as much as they can, and they still have that molly for post plant, and this time hopefully it'll find the mark.
Yeah, Link already posted deep here. Yampi's actually got himself into heaven as well. You can see forZe aware of the possibility. Yampi will spring the trap, finally shows his hand. Find the first, but again, forZe just looking for damage at this point. Honestly, found the 2 kills initially. Can't escape with that weapon. Zeddy, the last man standing here. More challenging. Yampi finds the 3rd. Decent ult progress there, and an interesting round. Like I said, I was expecting them to maybe close the distance there, at least in the first 10 to 15 seconds. But again, this investment of utility early down short almost lures Liquid into a false sense of security, right? When that pinch comes through from the TP, it's perfectly timed. Scream just has too many bodies to handle, right? It's overwhelming for him. So at least to find a couple of kills in this round, impressive, but Liquid hold the line.
Yeah, it's decent stuff. I think having these kind of ideas, going out for crunches when you're on the lower buys, when you've got Spectres and stuff like that, it makes a whole bunch of sense. They even had the Astra Stars placed down in case maybe a player will be spotted up close and bat. They could put a pull or a stun in there. Look at Zeddy. He's gone pushing down middle. He's an Astra player, and he's the first man to take combat on his own ground, falling back to B with a man advantage. It's a great start.
Yes, indeed. As Scream's there, he's one away from his revive, actually. Could potentially look for the orb and showers with Yampi being tucked in this deep. You can see on the minimap over there that looks like that's the plan for Scream right now. So Liquid going to burn up, 20 to 25 seconds here on this rotation, at least if they do want to end up on B. But Spike, the back of Link, and look at this, forZe are getting closer and closer. I think they're going to contest this, Mitch.
Oh, it looks like it. That flash goes in. Yampi's ready to fight, though, and there's Coffee down right away. Snake bite and shock dart, but Yampi dashes out of the way, so he won't be taken down by it, but he's left on 75 health, and with Scream falling, the numbers are really thinning out here for Liquid. No ultimates to pull them back into these fights. They need to rely on raw aim duels, and now there's a Viper's Pit to contend with as well. Lamb's control is basically out of the question at this point, unless they manage to somehow deal with Hutchins, so they'll look elsewhere for control. An Artist is waiting for them. Another creeping through the smoke as it dissipates. Link somehow gains the upper hand, and with that, the plant is in. Cryptic's tucked in on the corner behind the double boxes, now stands as the last bastion for this attacking side. A spike not quite planted for him. He's hoping to catch a Viper coming out or absolutely any opportunities, but now blinded up as well. They know exactly where he is. They're ready to take this fight. He goes in, but Hudgens watching and waiting. Another round for forZe, and in quite convincing fashion, all things considered. I mean, the early round went perfect, and as you saw right there was no problems coming back into the site.
No, I think it's initially there when that pressure comes through onto showers. I mean, Coffee again, with obviously the Death talked about this, setting his team up with these flashes, almost becoming an initiator, right, with that utility himself. But I mean, Yampi actually coming out on top of it initially. And like you said, it came down to raw angels, right? Liquid have to push out. They have to find something because they have nothing else to rely on here. So no real surprise to see Yampi creep that smoke. But Artist, they want to really dismantle that. It's surprising, actually, Link wins that 1v1 after the smoke drops, to be honest with you.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, that was the one that got me.
Yeah.
I saw him inside. I'm thinking, oh, here's another kill for Artist, and he somehow manages to connect it. But those things don't happen every single time, and even still, the round doesn't go their way. 3-1 for forZe. And one good thing here for Team Liquid, you mentioned Scream was one away from his ult not that long ago, and he's got it. Solkis and Link pretty close to theirs. I mean, the ult economy is definitely swinging in favor of the attackers, as you'd expect. Other rounds have gone. Solkis is just sending it after Coffee, but the Spectre reigns supreme in the close range duel. It looks like a flash through the smoke is on the cards, but Yampi steps in before Hudgen can even press his W key. Can't even get close to his keyboard as he goes down.
You will not kill us.
We got that one back online. It's actually Yampi now. To pile on the pressure. The smokes will drop though, and this is where, with everything invested, Liquid have nothing to sit behind. Yampi tries to go aggressive, but Zeddy will shut that down as well. Coffee sits inside the molly for some reason, will fall there. Now comes to a 2v3 here. Liquid will get the spike down.
They've got great positions as well with Lamps locked down. Zeddy's recovered some stars. It might be a slightly slower play just to try and wait for those to refresh, get them down. And I mean, the good thing in a way, the fact that these players are all boxed in towards Lamps, if he has good star placement, this could work out. Oh, they run into a judge though. Never mind. Scream is just sat there waiting, and it is just freelo when it comes to those kind of judge fights, isn't it?
Is indeed. And fair play to Solkas. Initially there, obviously, Coffee's able to back up and create a little bit more distance because Solkas obviously trying to get in there as quickly as possible with that judge. After that, obviously, the revive doesn't get the full reset. And ultimately there, I mean, yes, the brimstone smokes last for 20 seconds, but it's Yampi going forward once again. And even though he dies, it creates a little more space for Liquid to kind of secure themselves behind default. And ultimately, I mean, nobody ended up killing Coffee, but the molly did the job for them. And that really, that's the point at which they're able to turn that back around, because forZe arguably should have held on to that one.
I think that's fair to say. This round here also puts them in a really tough spot. You know, a lot of these rounds have been at a minimum 2 kills for Liquid. So with the constant reinvestment, forZe now find themselves down on pistols. Use Sheriffs. And there's the first kill going to them already. Sugetsu able to take a frag and going to be tigering down to grab the info. Wouldn't be surprised if Liquid slow this play down, but they'll be reluctant to give up long control now that there's a weapon to be retrieved.
The showstopper popped, actually. Come through Artist will find another. Solkas actually trades that one out. Cryptic Scream. Fine kills elsewhere as well. This paint shell actually going to land a little bit of damage, or at least force players off backside. And Liquid actually going to hit the TP here. One survivor here from forZe. We'll be able to actually... Oh, he's going to hear Solkas, but no, can't catch across there. Solkas close things out with a headshot. We'll tie things up at 3-3, Mitch. And what's interesting here again is it's forZe's ability to still find like the opener there. And Liquid with a perfect response, arguably, but on a round like that where it's not really on the back of like this coordinated stacked push, right? I think initially it's just a one tap down long. Artist obviously finds one as well, but the numbers just too strong from Liquid here, and ultimately some good utility is going to secure the round for them.
I think overall, though, looking at that round, if you're forZe, you managed to get 2 kills and bait out the showstopper. Considering the round that was in it, the investment, that's pretty solid. Like, they're going to be walking out of that with a smile on their face, but now is the time they need to capitalize. The weapons in the hands of Liquid as they move towards the site. Zeddy pops in a concuss, but Solkas is already in his face, taking